How does Takuya respond to the video footage? Episode 8 of Fishbowl Wives begins with Misako promising to publish the video of Takuya abusing Sakura unless he agrees to the divorce. She's going to be representing Sakura from now on, and there's also going to be a restraining order put in place to prevent this happening again. Takuya's career is in pieces, and the company is going down. Employees are resigning, but Takuya is not leaving without a fight. You see, Sakura is key to the PR image of his company, so he requests couple mediation. The divorce won't be able to go through without both parties agreeing to this first. While Sakura reluctantly agrees to this, she lends her support to Haruto, telling him she'll stand by his side whatever he chooses to do regarding his work. Does Haruto go back to working for his father? Haruto shows up to see his father and has made a big decision. He's going to marry Sakura and will do whatever it takes to make that happen. He's found his true purpose tending for goldfish, something that's made him feel alive. While working for his father, he felt suffocated and trapped. For Haruto, he's proud of the work he does given how many happy faces he sees every day. So naturally, he decides not to return to the company. He's going to stay at the goldfish shop. What happens at couple mediation? Do Takuya and Sakura get divorced? Meanwhile, Takuya and Sakura show up at therapy, where the former admits he's sorry for being controlling and lashing out. He admits he genuinely loves Sakura, struggling to hold back tears. He admits he only came to mediation, so he could see her, but he has no intention of fighting against the divorce. Takuya is not going to drag this out, and take it to court, which could have gotten very messy had he chosen to do that. For Sakura though, he's worried over what this means, and whether Takuya is really, genuinely, sorry. Sakura shows up at the apartment complex, but learns that Takuya has moved out. He sold the apartment and the business is failing. Sakura even shows up at the salon and finds the place empty, save for Takuya, who bitterly retorts that you reap what you sow, realizing his own downfall. Why does Sakura leave Haruto? Sakura feels guilty and decides to try and save the business. She does the rounds, meeting various influential businessmen and women, offering to pay back the debts owed, but she doesn't get anywhere. A lot of these companies have pulled out of doing business with them. Sakura continues on her crusade, but Haruto promises to stand by her side the whole time. Her empathy is one of the things he's fallen in love with, and admits meeting her is one of the best things to ever happen to him. So naturally, the pair end up making love. In the morning, Sakura leaves without saying goodbye, deciding to follow her own happiness before potentially returning later on down the line. For now though, she's going in pursuit of her own happiness. How does Fishbowl Wives end? 2 years pass, as we catch up with our various characters. Yuri is pregnant, Suda and Noriko are still together, while Saya and Soda are both running again. Meanwhile, Yuriha has found solitude with her husband, but also continues her affair with Momoki behind his back. It's also revealed here that the shaman is the one who uploaded all the pictures of Sakura and Haruto in the first place. Both Takuya and Sakura have their own salons now, and seem to be doing a lot better. Sakura and Haruto are both thriving alone, but there's undoubtedly an undercurrent of longing. As fireworks explode overhead, Sakura and Haruto watch the display separately. Tellingly though, Sakura happens to do so from Haruto's beach. The episode ending. So this romantic drama bows out with a conclusive chapter that wraps up all these arcs, while also doing so in a rather questionable way. Some of these stories, like Yuriho's cheating, champion the idea of affairs and how it's good to do this to keep your own relationships healthy. It's a weird message to send out, and not one that sits entirely well with me. The Haruto and Sakura situation also bows on a rather contentious note, although Sakura's empathetic heart goes some way to help understand why she's helping Takuya, who has seemingly turned a corner now, and no longer the abuser he once was. We'll have to wait and see if that actually sticks though. For now, Fishbowl Wives bows out with a pretty decent final episode, albeit one with a bit of a tonally disparate message about cheating and infidelity. Fishbowl Wives is somewhat of an enigma. On the one hand, it's a cautionary tale about marriage, and not neglecting your partner in favor of money or materialistic wealth. On the other hand, it's a show that champions the idea of infidelity and cheating. Quite the strange cocktail. Split across 8 episodes, this Japanese drama is based on the manga of the same name, and essentially revolves around 6 different women and their turbulent marriages. The main arc centers on Sakura Hiraga, a popular woman who's married to high-flying businessman Takuya Hiraga. Unfortunately, Takuya is controlling and abusive, eventually leading to Sakura leaving and finding comfort and solitude in a kindly goldfish shop owner, Haruto. Their relationship eats up the lion's share of the runtime, with plenty of dramatic moments and a couple of nice twists laid on. Structured around this, there were various other couples and their individual marriage woes. Some of these work quite well, including the rather marvelous episode 4, which features a couple that have become disillusioned with one another. Saya and Sota used to run together, but now they don't. I won't spoil what happens, but this is easily the best episode of the entire series. On the other side of the coin, there are chapters like episode 3, which features an enthusiastic husband who has a fetish involving his wife cheating on him. Only, she too has a fetish which she's been keeping from him. This chapter attempts, and fails to inject some comedy relief in the show, but it feels like tonal whiplash, when we continuously jump back to Sakura and Haruto's trying relationship. The episodes are a bit of a mixed bag, and it doesn't help that Sakura and Haruto's relationship stagnates quite a lot during the middle chapters. There's really not a lot going on between them until late on when Takuya makes his move. The biggest problem this show has is with its large cast. This is something that can be forgiven with Korean dramas that have an equally daunting ensemble, given their episodes clock in between 60 to 75 minutes. Here though, we've got nearly 10 different characters all thrown into a series with sharp, pacey episodes that range from 38 minutes to 50. Don't get me wrong, some of the characters are quite enticing to watch, especially a wife who suffers from nasty headaches, but at the same time there's just not a lot of depth to any of them. This makes the final montage flatline, rather than feel like an emotionally charged segment that's been earned. However, this also has an adverse effect of highlighting one of the biggest problems with Fishbowl Wives. Its message. I mentioned before about the infidelity issue, and this montage actually celebrates the idea of cheating on your spouses. I appreciate that some of these women have been through hell, and that in Japan it could be that divorce is stigmatized more than in the West, but is it stigmatized more than being unfaithful and cheating on your partner? I'm not so sure. Visually, the show looks great, and there's a really nice soundtrack accompanying this too, with a mixture of J-pop and more summer piano-driven instrumentals. There's certainly an effort to make this look aesthetically pleasing, and Fishbowl Wives absolutely nails that. The goldfish metaphors are perhaps a little on the nose, although there's a consistent effort to keep everything feeling organic, with a shaman instilling her wisdom to each of the wives across these episodes. It's just a shame then, that the series takes such a questionable stance on the idea of infidelity. The show lacks a lot of emotional depth for the characters outside the central couple, and alongside the short episodes, gives this a somewhat rushed and surface-level appeal. While there's enough here to whet the appetite, there's not quite enough lasting appeal to see you returning for more in a renewed or cancelled. Fishbowl Wives is an 8-episode Japanese drama, playing out as part anthology and part romantic drama. This 8-episode drama has been quite the turbulent ride, but after that ambiguous ending, you may be wondering if this one's been renewed or cancelled. What is Fishbowl Wives about? Fishbowl Wives is a romantic drama, depicting the trials and tribulations of 6 different women and their estranged relationships. At the center of this happens to be Sakura, who's stuck in an abusive relationship with partner Takuya. When she finds solace in a goldfish owner called Haruto, the pair hit it off immediately. Revolving around that are various other women and their relationship woes too. Has Fishbowl Wives been renewed for season 2? At the time of writing, Fishbowl Wives has not been renewed for a second season. However, given the nature of the ambiguous ending, that could change. Generally, Netflix would gauge numerous metrics before renewing a show, including how many people initially watch it, and then looking at the drop-off rate. With some shows, cancellations or renewals happen quickly, a.la. Squid Game, Bridgerton, and Irregulars. Other times, it can take months before Netflix make a decision over a show's future. So far, Fishbowl Wives has had a rather lukewarm reception from both critics and audiences alike. Based on this, along with the rumblings that the story is now finished, we predict that Fishbowl Wives will not be renewed for a second season. We'll be sure to update this section with accurate details over the coming weeks and months when we know more. What we know about Season 2 so far. Barely anything is known about Season 2 at this point, given Netflix have not greenlit a sequel. However, the conclusion does leave the main plotline somewhat resolved, although the ambiguousness of our main couple does leave that door open for more. If Netflix do decide to renew this, expect this to be explored in more detail, and potentially to include more relationships from different apartment complex members. Would you like to see Fishbowl Wives return for a second season? Or do you think the story has run its course? Let us know your thoughts in the comments box.